Welcome everyone to a Kepler College community webinar. Today's topic is welcoming 2023, the year of the Yin Water Rabbit, presented by Tiff Lin. And as many regulars will know, we've just got a bit of housekeeping to do before we get to the main presentation. So we will begin. Our winter term begins January 2nd. We're very excited for our new semester coming up. We have a wonderful, fantastic array of courses coming up from beginner to advanced levels, from our very popular fundamentals classes to more advanced classes such as advanced predictive techniques and astrocartography. At Kepler College, we have a full diploma program, which I highly recommend. I am a graduate of too, but we also have certificate classes as well, where you can go in more niche topics or areas that you'd like to work on, such as astro mapping or consultation and counseling skills, all those kind of things. But if you find a class that you think you just like to take individually, you can take that as well. At Kepler College, we have a wonderful alliances with many fantastic astrological organizations. So we have our alliances with NCGR, so Professional Astrology Alliance. We have it with ISAR and also the American Federation of Astrologers, ESAR, my apologies. So one of the benefits of being a Kepler graduate is that we have, with these organizations, they allow you to take exam levels to take their courses. So for example, NCGR, you can take their level 4 professional exam without taking the earlier exams. At ESAR, graduates are prepared really to write their certificate exam as you go through the program. And at the American Federation of Astrologers, you will be granted advanced membership and professional membership. So if you want to learn more about that, please visit keplercollege.org. One of the many benefits of graduating with Kepler College. If you would like to learn more about where you think you stand in your astrological education, we have a fantastic free quiz on our website. So go to keplercollege.org, where you can find out where you stand in your education. And if there are any gaps that you maybe feel are missing, certainly check out some of our classes to fill in those gaps. So again, visit keplercollege.org, and it's always fun to take a quiz. So we highly recommend checking that out. Also at Kepler College, you are able to challenge test some of our classes. So our fundamentals classes, W101, 102, and also our movement classes, 110, and our mathematics classes, you are able to challenge the test. So if you're thinking to yourself, I'm not really sure where I am in my astrological education, if you feel like you know a little bit more, especially for 101, you can challenge the test for a small fee. And all you have to do is go to store.keplercollege.org and test yourself out of that for a small fee. And if you pass those challenge tests, you'll be put in at a higher level. Again, we have some fantastic workshops coming up. We have Cameron Allen continuing his Holistic Embodied Astrology workshop series. The next one is coming up next week, where you can join us on December 17th, where he'll be looking at the sign of Capricorn. And again, January 14th, we'll move into Aquarius. So what Cameron really does is infuse astrology with health and wellness, and how we go through each sign of the year and really just blending the health and holistic sense of working with each month through the season. So we highly recommend those workshops with Cameron Allen. Also part of our fantastic faculty is Enid Newberg. She'll be presenting the Bridge Workshop. So this is really for those who may be quite familiar with some of the astrological basics, but maybe want to work on their delineation skills and synthesis. So this is coming up on January 29th from 11 to 1 p.m. Pacific. And again, keplercollege.org to check out those workshops. Also, we have the wonderful Dorothy Oger coming back with us to do the mysteries of relationships, working with the Davison chart. And that will be beginning on February 4th. So if you're interested in relationship astrology, how you work with, loved ones, however that might be, certainly come and check out this wonderful workshop coming up. With Petra, we've got the Astrology in the Cross Quarter workshop series, and Embolic is coming up next on February 5th. And we have the wonderful Martin Moritz coming back to conduct a Saturn return workshop, which will be on February 25th. So for more details about these workshops, please visit keplercollege.org, and we hope to see some of you there. And of course, we have some fantastic free webinars like we've got today coming up. So on January 7th, we have Kira Sutherland conducting the Healer Within. So again, this is more holistic, health-orientated astrology, and she'll be joining us there on January 7th. So again, just sign up with us. It's a free webinar. you're more than welcome to come and join us again. And then Martin Moritz will be doing a General Connections webinar February 11th, where he'll be talking about Saturn having gone through Aquarius and then into Pisces, and talking about that in his webinar. So for more information, visit keplercollege.org. And we're very excited to announce our Back to Basics chart interpretation practice. So you can join Donna, who is our president at Kepler, Vanessa, who teaches in W101, and also myself. So each week we're going to be doing chart delineations, and really this is aimed at our fundamental students. So those who have maybe beginning their astrological journey, what we're going to do each week is pull up famous chart examples and just go through a couple of delineation skills. And again, this is open to everybody in the community and it's completely free. So we'd love to see you there. And we begin on January 17th, and we'll essentially just do chart delineations each week, every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. So we'd hope to see you there. If you haven't done it already, please consider following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So after today's TIFF's presentation today, this recording will be up on our YouTube channel. So you can see that tomorrow. I usually try and get them out the next day. So tomorrow afternoon Eastern time, we'll have that on our YouTube channel. And of course, check out our other fantastic content too. I interview astrologers around the world in very many different topics. And we also have some rare footage from Robert Hand and Demetra George, and just a wonderful group of content. So please check that out. And also we're excited to announce a Leaders in Astrology series coming up, where we'll be interviewing some of the most famous astrologers around the world and taking a look at their life, where they've been, and their advice for future generations. So keep an eye out for that. We wish to thank you all who continue to support us in terms of donations for our community scholarships. This really helps us put on free webinars like we have today, and also for our students going through their courses. So thank you so much for your donations. If you would like to make a donation, please visit keplercollege.org. And as a reminder, we are a not-for-profit organization, so you'll receive a tax-deductible receipt for your donation. So we understand that not everybody has the means to donate, but every little helps, and we certainly appreciate everybody who does. So thank you very much. And Mary is going to talk a little bit about Toastmasters.
Thanks, Callum. I invite anyone who's interested in practicing their public speaking skills in the context of astrology to check out the first ever Astrologers Toastmasters Club, the Kepler Astrologers Toastmasters. We are affiliated with Toastmasters International. We meet weekly, Wednesday mornings, 11:30 Pacific time, and you can attend as a guest to check out the experience to see if you want to continue in your attendance. I highly encourage everyone who is interested in honing their speaking skills to join this very warm and friendly club. And it's a great way to sort of meta and analyze your speaking skills while also practicing your astrological knowledge and how to convey that. So email toastmasters@keplercollege.org to attend as a guest.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary. Toastmasters is excellent. We highly recommend that. And today's presenter with Tiff Lynn. So Tiff, sorry, I've moved my screen there. I've lost the bio. Here we go. Excuse me. Tiff Lynn, preferred pronouns they, them, is a queer 1.5 generation Taiwanese American kinesthetic artist, community organizer, embodiment coach, Feng Shui consultant, residing in Alola territory, also known as Oakland. So through one-on-one consultations, facilitating workshops, writing and performance art, codes to life to help folks unlock their true gifts inside. They are known for their Yang Earth Dragon range of embodied presence and ecstatic expression. Their reflections on Bunzer can be found on Mind, Body, Green and Holistic Spaces, Awaken and Align, and also the Sunseed Community podcast. And I think, Tiff, you'd like to add more to that?
Oh, yes. I also just wanted to give a special shout out to my mentor teacher, Mong, from Tiger Eye Astrology, and add Cattails Comics to another collaborator mix. We're collaborating on making Oracle cards, hopefully to be released by 2024. Thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'll hand the baton to you to present.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me share my screen. Okay, let's see. Okay, do you all see what I see?
Beautiful.
Okay,
Yep.
amazing. Wow. So I just want to go off and say, this is my first time doing a webinar, and it gives me a lot of excitement, a lot of nervousness in my system to be talking to so many people from across the world. I'm very honored. Thank you for inviting me, Kepler College. Thank you, Cal, Lori, Mary, for holding me in this beautiful, beautiful container. Yeah, just a lot of gratitude of being this vessel to invite and welcome in the Lunar New Year 2023, invoke the spirit of Yin Water Rabbit, and knowing that we are still in Yang Water Tiger Year, to acknowledge what that is. And my hope for everyone in this journey is that they can really learn to see themselves through these elements and animals, the yin yang, that I am so delighted to share, and to see how they can orient towards Yin Water Rabbit with more ease and more trust and more flow. So without further ado, I just want to say, for those who might not know, Lunar New Year typically begins with the first new moon of the lunar calendar and ends on the first full moon of the lunar calendar. So it's typically celebrated for 15 days in Asian countries. And this year, for 2023, it starts January 21st. And a little bit about me. Ooh, just gonna invite a breath here. I'm a proud young earth dragon, with ox, tiger, and goat in my Bats astrology. And for those Western astrology enthusiasts, Capricorn sun, Sagittarius moon, Gemini rising. I was born in Taiwan, and my ancestry comes from Fuzhou, China. I'm currently residing in unceded Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone territory in Turtle Island, what is now known as Oakland, California. Yeah, I just want to say I've been privileged in my lifetime to explore many different paths as a dragon. Yeah, just diving, stumbling, falling, recreating myself over and over again. I guess from a career standpoint, started off with corporate marketing, project management in New York, to international business trade and jewelry, working with my father's business in China, going down the rabbit hole of sacred sexuality and dance floors and tantra in Egypt and Bali and Spain. And just in the last 7 years, am landing in Oakland with community, with understanding what it means to be in community and to bring out my gifts in a more fuller and embodied way. Yeah, I want to pay respect to my teacher, Hmong, Miss Tank. You can find her on Miss Tank, MISSTANGQ.com, or she just dropped a new website, TigerEyeAstrology.com. Over the last 2 to 3 years, I've been grateful to immerse myself in my ancient Chinese lineage and practices, exploring Bats astrology, Taoism, Feng Shui, learning what it means to work with the intermingling yin and yang, the waxing, waning of all of that as it resides in my system and as it correlates with the seasons. And out of all of this, I really just want to land this lesson that I impart you with, that regardless of where you are in your spiritual journey, your healing practice, your fascination with astrology in general, to remember it as an embodiment practice, to remember why you are here and what you are here for. And yeah, to move with grace, courage, compassion. And that's what Batsu has taught me. And I'm, again, very excited to share more about what that is, for you to passionately fall in love with yourself through the animals and see how they come into life within you. Okay, wow, I can keep going and going. So, agenda. Usually I just wing things, but this was a really great challenge for me to like have some structure to how I want to organize my teaching today. We can't go into talking about Yin Water Rabbit and the lessons without going into a little bit more about Taoist cosmology. What is Bazi? Talking about the heavenly stems, which are part of the Bazi chart system calculations, time, and then the earthly branches with the 12 animals. We'll be going into 2022 Yang Water Tiger, the breakdown of what it has meant this year and how it's going, and then go into 2023 Yin Water Rabbit themes and lessons, and then conclude with how each zodiac animal will be impacted. I'm really excited. And I also want to say, yeah, I hope you can stay for the presentation. And if not, no worries, it's recorded. It gives me a lot more ease knowing that I don't have just 70 minutes to present. I'm going to try to take my time. And yeah, here we go. Okay, so take a sip. What I want to say here is the ancient Chinese were well known for their close relationship with nature. And almost all of their early philosophical or historical texts contain specific concepts of nature and the universe. And for thousands upon thousands of years, I guess thousands of years ago, their gaze was often directed towards the sky. You know, back then, as the majority of the population were dependent on their crops, examining the stars in the sky was ultimately fundamental for their survival, to find the best time to plant and harvest crops according to the seasons. In fact, by the time the 5th century arrived, the Chinese had already cataloged more than 1,400 stars, and there were many committed stargazers across China documenting the weather forecasts and seasons and understanding nature and how to live in relationship to the cosmos. So all this to say, this Taoist philosophy, this influence of Taoism, stressing the value of nature and the importance of following natural rhythms and cycles is something I want to impart to you all today. And also, like, if you can imagine these Chinese astronomers, sages, intellectuals, philosophers, scientists, how they made sense of what they saw in the stars and how it impacted the food that they ate, and in turn, how it impacted their behavior and from illness, from vitality, how it impacted their mind, their body, their chi, their spirit. And it's no wonder Bazi, Chinese astrology, 4 pillars of destiny, divination, was created, you know, as a way to understand and make sense of all of this, to make sense of the waxing and waning of elements, the yin and yang that exist within us all, and how it applies to our innermost motivations, our ambitions, our dreams, and our resistance and challenges, complexities. So first off, for Taoist cosmology, before anything existed, there was nothing. And we call this nothing, this primordial womb, this emptiness called the Wu Ji. I didn't take another sip, like this a lot. The Wu Ji, the absolute nothingness. And we can't even say that it came before time and space, because neither time nor space exists in Uji. And out of Uji, out of nothingness comes the Taiji, our universe of space and time, the duration of past, present, and future. Planets and galaxies, the birth of history and existence in itself. And so we look at the yin yang, which represents the universe creating itself from this chaotic Uji energy and transmuting it into order, into balance, into the great polarity. So the yin yang represents this creation theory or the Big Bang, and it begins with nothing and transforms into everything. And we see the development of yin yang from Taiji under the 8 trigrams. In Tai Chi, we find the elemental forces that constitute life, the 5 elements, fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, working in harmony, creating life. And so it's with this life given by these 5 elements, given with the interactions that we see in these trigrams and these hexagrams as denoted as concepts of change of time through the I Ching. That's where the 10,000 things, that's where this Tao Te Ching verse, the all universal things, has manifested into rule. Yeah, it's a pretty cosmic trip. And then to understand bots a bit better, we have to have a basic understanding not only of yin and yang theory, but also of the theory of the 5 elements called Wuxing. And this can be translated as 5 movements, phases, or dynamics, which means that these elements aren't fixed conditions, but they're always changing due to the natural evolution of things or in response to being forced in another direction. What's complex about this is, or what's transformative about this is if you see these cycles here, the generating interaction, wood generates the fire to earth, or the controlling metal, like the axe cutting the wood, or water controlling fire. You begin to understand how to truly be in harmony with yourself and bring yourself to balance if you have, let's say, a lot of earth in your chart, or a lot of earth, which deals from a TCM, traditional Chinese medicine perspective, issues with the stomach.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't think we can see the whole slide. Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Okay, great. It looks good now. Sorry. Thank you.
No worries. No. All this to say, all Chinese metaphysics, Bazi, Feng Shui, traditional Chinese medicine uses 5 elements to describe situations and relations to people, places, circumstances, personalities, and so on. And so if you master the 5 elements, and I'll give you an example, I don't have metal or water in my Bazi chart. I'm a lot of wood, I'm a lot of fire, and a lot of earth. And if I have too much excessive, let's just say if I have too much excessive fire, this like spirit, and I feel like overcome with emotion or energy or volatility, I can, from a, practicing feng shui standpoint, and shout out to Yoli, who has mentored me in many ways of drinking water. They're here. Drink water. In some practices, you can wear black or bring in the element of water into your living space. So it's a really cool concept of knowing your astrology, knowing your cosmology as it's connected with the heavens and your own human principle, that we can also alter our luck with feng shui, bringing in the earth principle as it's connected to our human as well. Okay, so I also want to say these concepts, they take some time to integrate and embody, and I can ask questions later. So Bazi consists of 8 characters. Ba is Chinese for 8, is Chinese for characters. And what we're looking here is a chart of actually this time This year, being 2022, is the year of the young water tiger. This month is young water rat. This day is Yin Fire Rooster, which is actually pretty spot on. I'm feeling pretty rooster today, being channeler message. Has to do with articulating with words and speech. And then this hour is Yin Fire Goat. Goat being part of community, and that's what we're doing here. So how do you read a chart? Some people might be wondering. What I brought into attention before in the agenda, we have the heavenly stems. This is what is in this first row here. These 8 characters are divided into 2 rows and 4 pillars. And the upper row is called the Tiangan, which is the heavenly stems. And the lower row is called the Dizhi, which is the earthly branches. And what you need to know is that the Tiangan represents your divinely heavenly mission. Why are you here? And the earthly branches is how your incarnation on this earth interacts with the world. So if the heavenly stem can be seen as your why are you here, then the earthly branch can be perceived as the how. And for these columns also represent its own kind of relationship. So with the year column, you can see that as your first primary chi imprint, what you come here as, your inner child, your childhood, who you were before your conditioning set place. And the month can be perceived as how you, or your adolescence, you're maturing, how you rise against challenge, how you self-motivate could be seen as your career. And then the day is your ancestral karmic inheritance, your intuition, your lineage, your legacy. And then the hour is your rising, your secondary chi imprint, what you are here to leave a legacy behind as. And so if you look at Badzin, if you understand the elements in your body, and you understand these 12 animal archetypes, then you'll be better able to gauge and grasp the themes of your life, especially if you're coming from, in this example, if I was born as a young water tiger, how am I going to or what kind of circumstances, or how can I learn about myself and my life and my journey and orient more towards that Yin Fire Goat mission. And so Badzin, its own way, is really like such a brilliant navigational tool in understanding who we are, how we see the world, and how we interact with the world at large. And it's not an exacting science. I would say it's like a blend of science and art, and it's also up to the perception, how you perceive this information. So yeah, let's go forward with that. And to understand really, to understand the duality of the world, as we've seen from the Tai Chi, we must understand yin and yang. The yin yang represents this dynamic balance of opposing but complementary and interconnected forces. And this philosophy says that the universe is composed of competing and complementary forces of dark, light, sun, moon, contemplation, action, male and female, masculine, feminine. They cannot exist without the other. And if you can think about a mountain, there's always a sunny side to the mountain, as there's a dark side as well. And to quote another teacher, Mimi Young, the yin can be seen as this whisper, this essence, and the yang can be perceived as the action, like it's as if the yin has a desire that isn't spoken, but it's felt, and then the yang enacts that. It's all happening at the same time. The yang is almost like that masculine force that makes that yin desire be actualized. So they work together in these ways that, if harmonized, if brought to balance, and if felt and understood in ourselves and in our own body, we can better work with nature. We can better work with what we're here to do. So another point, in Chinese medicine, you can also say an excess of yin or yang can lead to disease. So yin deficiency, being tired, being exhausted, what do you need to do to restore yourself back to balance? Perhaps more rest. Yeah, to not overwork or overexert yourself. And we'll be talking about what it had meant to be in a Yang Water Tiger year, which is a lot of force, a lot of yang, and what it means to go back yin for next year. Okay, so another thing about Batsun itself is it's a Chinese astrological system of divination, and it uses the sexagenary cycle, which is this ancient Chinese counting system that is still being used today. And it consists of 2 Chinese characters, as I said before, the heavenly stem from the first row, and then the earthly branch in the second row. The first character is taken from one of the 10 heavenly stems, which you see here. And these are the 5 Chinese elements with its yin-yang counterparts. So this being wood, this being fire, this being earth, this being metal, and this being water. And then the 12 earthly branches, each of these 12 earthly branches is associated with an animal. And these Chinese years are usually labeled by its sexagenary cycle, and they repeat every 60 years. So this year we are at Gui Mao, which is, you can't really see it, but number 40 of the cycle, or I'm sorry, 2023, we will be at Gui Mao. Yeah. Going ahead. Okay, so to get more into the heavenly stem, we have here, and I can be more specific, around 2022 being the Yang Water Heavenly Stem. And in Chinese, it's Ren, and its archetype or its image is this large ocean, this tsunami. It's a lot of movement between people, places, ideas. One of the things about Yang Water, which I'll get into more detail later, is how one of the biggest fears, being seen as Yang Water, being in that ocean, might be terrified of being directionless, terrified of being lost in a storm and not knowing where to go, being stagnant. And so if you felt that at all this year, this like sense of like, where is my direction? What is my direction? And taking a direction or multiple directions, that was the sense of this year. And next year, we're going into the Yin Water, the Gui, which is archetyped as the mist. Maybe something for you to know as you're wanting to understand your Bazi. There are free Bazi calculators out there. I can send a link to one of my favorites. But knowing this about yourself, knowing what your heavenly stems are and those 4 pillars will allow you to understand more about the energetic blueprint or the correlation of nature that exists within you, within how you carry your energy, your fears, your challenges, as well as your gifts and your strengths. So earthly branches, I highlighted Tiger Rabbit. So each earthly branch has its own native element. For tiger, it's yang wood, and for rabbit, it's yin wood, and they still exist in the same house, the house of development. And they're still associated with this, with the season of spring. Tiger is early spring. rabbit is late spring. And the keyword for tiger is I will. There's this strong sense of power, strong sense of willpower in tiger. And then we have for the rabbit this I desire. Remember that yin of like calling it in, not necessarily having force or action beyond it, but feeling that divine feminine sense of manifesting, of attracting. And yeah, for those who don't know, this is the order of the zodiac. It goes from rat to ox to tiger to rabbit to dragon. So you'll be able to see it goes from yang to yin to yang to yin. And it's really great for rabbit to actually be cruxed in between tiger and dragon. Tiger being that apex predator. I'll just go into it. Tiger being this apex predator, and the dragon being this magician, this sense of power, alchemy, drama. For rabbit to be in between, you have to really give yourself that time to really rest in the yin, because it's just a lot of energy. And so I can't necessarily see the chat right now, but I'm wondering if anyone wanted to share, like, who had a crazy tiger year, and it's it's not over yet, right? Like, how was this year for you? Tiger year being of growth, expansion, big energy, disruption. Who has had a year of a shift in career, maybe boldly asking for a promotion, moving into a different house, a bigger house, that tiger claiming its space, death, a lot of accidents, a lot of ego death, not necessarily physical, new loves or breakups. This right here, this sense of is this painting showing a Taoist master riding a tiger, which symbolizes mastery of ego. This Taoist master is riding the ego and not letting ego ride them. So there's this archetype of tiger being one of how do you conquer, how do you work with power, how do you work with your own power? And with it, with just any theme of power might bring up a lot, a lot of a lot of disruption, a lot of damage even. So I'm just curious if anyone wants to share. It's not all good, it's not all bad, it just is what it is, very eventful. And so this is also what I wanted to share is these are cards from the Oracle deck that me and a colleague, Kylie, from Cattails Comics, we're going to come out with. And what you have on the left is yang water. This, if you recall, this vibration, this energetic signature of the tsunami, of this wave. Yang water being about adaptability, diplomacy, movement, and communication between people, this networking energy of constantly in movement. This need, this desire to be in movement. Otherwise, that fear of being stagnant, of being still, can create a lot of anxiety, a lot of restlessness. So they don't ever want to be stagnant, and for fear of feeling directionless. So for yang water, it's really important to have goals. Otherwise, yang water can become that drifter energy. And then you have the yang wood, which is what is native to the tiger. So I just want to set this out of 2022. You've got this tsunami bomb, and then you've got this yang wood, which is represented as a huge tree coming out past the hard soil. It's that energy that's busting out of the birth canal. It's that tiger, it's that aggressive force that wants to drive itself towards its goals, because it can, because of its will, its sheer power and magnitude. There's there's a confidence about it. There's a sense of, I exist, I'm here, I am proud. So there's a lot of pride associated with it. And so if this year had proved to be a point of launching your career, met also with maybe resistance, maybe even failure, maybe even a huge shattering of pride, there's a theme of what would happen when young water and young wood collide. And so now I get to share what welcoming 2023 is, with understanding that vibration of tiger in this really, really cute comic strip. What we have seen here is this tiger that's playing with this butterfly, wants the butterfly. You can interpret butterfly to mean your dreams. You can interpret butterfly to be your goals. It's that young of wanting to go towards something, wanting to actualize it. And then you see here, the rabbit is observing. The rabbit is doing its own thing. The rabbit is creating a hole for itself. It's playing with itself. It's minding its own business. And then towards the last slide, you see it popping up again. And wouldn't you know it, the butterfly, the goals, the dreams, it comes to the rabbit. It's another way of saying wu-wei, effortless non-action. To not have to try. So 2023, for all the folks who've been feeling so tired and so burnt out of just this go, go, go. Hopefully, and it's my wish that 2023 can be uneventful, It can just be a year where you manifest your dreams and they come to you. So that expression, try not to try so hard this coming year. So Yin Water, it's a portal, these cards, huh? This Yin Water vibration of being the mist, ruling the realm of intellect, ruling the realm of imagination, creativity. It's ephemeral, it's ethereal, it's shapeshiftery. It's something that can't be touched but can be felt. It's going inward, and it's manifesting a lot from the dream world space. Then you have this rabbit that's yin wood, this yin water of the mist, and then the yin wood vibration of morning dew, or rather water. Yin water is like mist, and then the in-between of it is like morning dew on a blade of grass, because yin wood is characterized as a blade of grass or a vine that's seeking structure, winding and turning and growing. The mission of yin wood is resilience. It's to survive. Rabbits are very extremely adaptable creatures. They always have a sense of, where's my exit strategy and what do I need to do in this moment? And so really coming into like asking your body, like, what do I need right now in my body to feel safe and comfortable? And then like finding the right structures to attach to in order to grow and see another light of day. So more about that rabbit. Rabbit being the symbol of vigilance, wittiness, cautiousness, self-protection, fantasy, that feminine embodiment. Rabbits being exceptionally sensitive, unusually alert, brilliant minds, acute sensitivity. They have, and this is for those that are born in the year of the rabbit, I want to say that, or, you might have rabbit in your month, day, and hour pillar. They exhibit a high degree of intelligence, intuition, combined with refreshing honesty. They're considered a cardinal sign, a peach blossom. So great attraction. They can magnetize anyone. It's funny, as I reflect, most rabbits I know are serial monogamous. It's like they might say like, I don't want to be in a relationship, I just want to be single. But then, a week later, they attract another suitor. It's like, we always want to be around that rabbit energy. Their minds move with great speed, and this gives them this wide range of completing tasks in a very short amount of time. Yeah, they always have their eye on the nearest exit too. Like there's maybe 1 foot in the fantasy world, 1 foot in the reality world. They're extremely sensitive, emotional, and fickle. There could be a sense of indecisiveness, sense of anxiety, especially if they don't feel fully anchored in that support and that feeling of safety. Because if you have a lot of extreme yin, you need a sense of like having that stronger yang, that masculine support to like really root you down so that you can attract and manifest. So those are some themes. Okay, so one lesson of the rabbit year heading, or one theme, is that it explores this resting place between healing, integration, and creation. So I want you all to picture like where we had been, this large tsunami wave of the tiger coming forth, creating wreckage, making big waves, disrupting industry, blowing out minds in some ways, and potentially blowing out relationships, the toxic masculinity of bulldozing over feelings for achievement's sake. When power gets to be, when power is disrupted and it's no longer feeling good for anyone, for the collective. So going from there, you can see the tsunami of tiger resting peacefully, hopefully peacefully, at shore, where the yin water, the mist, the rabbit being, if anyone knows the Jade Emperor and Chang'e legend, the rabbit is seen on the moon stirring its elixir of immortality, and it's so reflective of rabbit being the nurturer, being the mediator, being the one to harmonize relationship, being the one in a family dynamic to ease temperament, to bring people together, to know if someone is feeling bad, rabbit would be the one to be like, hey, what's going on? So healing and integration and creation can take place. Talking to my mentor, Mong, we were talking about the therapy business is going to bloom. It's going to flourish this 2023. This is a great year to look at healing emotional wounds and traumas, especially coming out of such a heavy, dramatic year. And so this is one of my favorite quotes about conflict by Melodoma Somé. Conflict is the spirit of a relationship asking itself to deepen. And just like let that in. If you think about how that tiger year of tiger being that apex predator, goals, ambition, drive, and that feeling of blowing past the relationship, moving past the speed of trust versus moving along with it. We have the transition in between from tiger to rabbit, primarily the first 3 months, actually, January, February, March. March is rabbit month, to really be a pivotal time to resolve conflict, whatever that means. If that means having a conversation with your significant other or your business partner, be like, hey, like, that was I feel impacted by the way you blew past that decision and didn't consider my feelings. Can we talk about it? Can we clear the air? So I just want like a good rabbit ear. Okay, I want peace. So that feeling of like restoring peace and bringing yourself to balance, it has to come with this very courageous act of making amends, of like being vulnerable, being honest about where you've been withholding resentment and withholding pain. And this emotional intelligence, articulating and expressing, maybe with words, maybe without, can really come into play. This emphasis on cultivating relationship. I mean, Yang Water loves to network and loves to make relationship. If anything, Yang Water, if you all had a 2022 where you made new friends, you're like, these are my friends. 2023 gets to be about maintaining, about cultivating those relationships, and to do relationship inventory, to have a practice where you're grateful for what those folks have brought to your life, and you have this practice of honoring that, and so that you can invite more, that you can attract more of what you want to bring into your life. And so another thing around Rabbit Month, or the Rabbit hexagram, according to the I Ching, is marrying maiden. There's this sense of fertility with rabbit. Rabbits love to mate. There's this vitality, there's youthful expression, this childhood-like innocence and awe and wonder and imagination. There's, like, as I said before, rabbit being peach blossom, there's this arousing sense of sensuality, beauty, play, and seduction. Marrying maiden is, and I'm quoting my mentor Mong, is like the power bottom. It's like this, if Tiger was a year of like, oh my God, fuck, like, then rabbit year gets to be like, let's be fucked. You know, like, let's invite and let's seduce and be seduced by, and let's welcome and really honor what that might teach us. And also with all of these themes can come themes of the shadow, of what toxic femininity might look like, of this feeling of blaming, of being addicted to being the victim, of being, there's a way of yin wood wanting to attach to the right structures, can also be prone to being falling into codependent relationship. So really seeing these, where sexuality, sensuality, where pleasure gets to be an empowered practice versus a threatening one, or one to be vilified or made wrong. So these themes of empowering outside of shame and communicating needs and boundaries gets to be a further exploration. And then this principle of rabbit being someone to rest, someone that's not going to be an overachiever like Tiger, and someone that's like, I've done as much as I could, I'm going to go back home, burrow in my nest, in my fuzzy blanket, and eat ice cream. Like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. So this gets to be, 2023 gets to be that year for you, especially knowing that dragon is to follow, young wood dragon is to follow. You're going to want to spend 2023 like recharging, studying, starting a new art practice, like completing your art projects, rest, dream, clean the home. From a feng shui standpoint, this is a good time to really focus on decluttering and feeling like the space that you live in, you can actually breathe in. So read books for fun, heal. Okay, so, okay, wow, it's 2 p.m. We're good, we're pretty good on time. we get to talk about how this upcoming, your zodiac animal, how that might be influenced and impacted by the year of their Yin Rabbit. Okay, shout out to my brand strategist, really great friend, homie, Jenny, for helping me, gather these beautiful images of rat and the animals you'll see beyond. But okay, so how you want to look at this is you might not know your year animal, and if you don't, it's over here. And as I said before, BOTS is made of 4 pillars. And so if you want to know if your month pillar, if you have rat in your month pillar, which to reiterate is your, how do you rise beyond challenges? It's if you're feeling stagnant in any way, you can call upon, if you were born between December 7th to January 5th, you can call upon the rat to get you out of that rut. Like, and also rising, if your hours, if you were born from the hours 11 to 1 a.m., you have rat in your chart as well. Unfortunately, we can't gather the insight for what day you might be in. That requires looking at the sexagenary cycles, that requires long division and a huge algorithm. But lucky enough, there are free online BOTS calculators out there. And I also calculate as well to perceive and make sense of all of this. Some archetypes of rat, rat being the native stem of yang water, being very strategic. If y'all were familiar at all with the mythology, the rat is the one that convinced the ox, or even tricked the ox into letting it ride its horntails. And that's how it got first in the cycle, this cycle of this great animal race. The archetype of the rat, like thinking, but not necessarily doing, finishing, but not necessarily great at, starting, but not necessarily great at finishing. But it's a great visionary. It's the one that has the greater visions, harder to execute. That's why you need a team. And then also the weaver, introducing people to other people, like creating a team. Those are like the great skill sets of having rat. Okay, so for rat and rabbit, all right, we've got the rat with the yang water, and you can see how the 5 elements come into play here. Yang water versus yin water versus the yin wood of 2023. You've got these gods that show up: rob wealth, herding officer, this uncivilized punishment, the flower of romance star. To condense all of this, that's going to take a while to say. I'm going to also pour myself water. I'm talking a lot. I'm talking really fast. I'll start with uncivilized punishment, is something that comes up with rat and rabbit. If you have rat and rabbit in your bots, there may be themes, depending on where it's in your bots as well, themes of emotional manipulation or gaslighting or sexual trauma or abuse. And so this year, this upcoming year, gets to be a place where you can really sit with all of that and heal from it. As I said, rabbit year is going to bring upon the healing. It's a great time to tend to your inner child, your core wounds, your relationship with family, your relationship to your past partners. I can't reiterate this enough. Rat has a tendency to, like that yang water, extrovert, like almost explore the world through other people. And that's a flower of romance star trait as well, this healing through relationship. But I think, or I perceive that this gets to be a year where you can focus on yourself first before extending so much relational dynamics with other people. And then also that rat mind, shadow side of rat could be prone to paranoia, that thinking mind that spins at the end of night from 11 to 1, strategizing what is going on. Having a practice of listening to your heart and knowing what your heart wants before you do an action or before Listening to your heart versus the mind and gleaning insights from that space versus the inner critic or the one that judges or the one that puts people in a position of, I don't trust you. Working with those themes. All right, so ox. Okay, what I had wanted to do is if you were rat, if you want to write in the chat, I'm a rat, or if you want to write in the chat, you're an ox. So it's I encourage y'all to do that. So in the same way, looking at your month, looking at your hour, looking at your year. If you want to see the ox really empower, it's this builder energy. It's this very patient, hardworking. The ox got to be second of the great race because of its great perseverance. If it has a goal, it'll keep going. And it's very yin earth of service for the greater collective. One of the most hardworking workaholics, tenacious, stubborn, needs to do it its own way. If you can perceive the ox as one that takes one step forward to the next, it's conservative in approach, but with the right kind of planning, the right kind of small goals to the greater goal, to the greater finish line, ox can get shit done. And with that said, it's not one to be surprised. It's not one to take deep jumps without doing its due diligence. So working with that ox archetype, they might be better if rat is the one that finishes that, or sorry, I keep getting that mixed. Rat is the one that starts and the ox finishes, especially if it has a plan. So ox and rabbit, the yin earth versus the yin water gives the god of indirect wealth and 7 killings. So 7 killings is one of the control gods, and I'm going to take a pause and just say that what I should have started off saying before I talked about the animal archetypes is that these zodiac forecasts, if you look at it, it's just one fraction of the bigger picture, right? You can't tell like your whole year based off of knowing that you have ox in your year, right? Because you might have other animals that also influences your own nature in your own way. And then the relationships between those earthly branches, those animals within your chart takes precedence over the annual luck cycle. But with all that said, we're just gonna have fun and just go with the themes. So for ox, if anyone has ox in their chart, I want to honor you and say that Tiger probably pushed you to keep going, and this rabbit year gives you a chance to give yourself a break, and also watch that stubborn way lens of I can only do it my way, like this way is the only way. There might be situations at work or in relationship where you might be confronted with conflict and needing to compromise. So cool down and slow your roll and just question how to work with other people. If anything I want to impart you about bots is how do you learn more about yourself so you can communicate more effectively and work and empathize with other people and then work better in harmony. So yeah, balancing that work with play as another way to bring in that rabbit charm. Care for your body. You're not, you're not just identified with what you do. I know the yin earth wants to constantly give and be of service, but like, yeah, I mean, like we got to think about the long game here. Okay, so Tiger. Power and mastery are those themes. I've talked about Tiger a lot already. This powerful, this daring, this risk-taking, this mastery of ego. It wants to master itself at the end of the day. And so it's prone to pursuing passion, that like starving artist mentality of like, I don't care what my parents say, if this is something that might not accrue dollars, I want to explore it. And what if I fail? Then I fail knowing that I've tried, is that kind of archetype. And they're highly efficient, you know, like my partner Sappho is a tiger. They're highly efficient with whatever it is they set themselves to do, and they love their hobbies. So it's this sense of because of this hyper efficient, because of utilizing time and working with time, they can have that they're not the best to collaborate with people. Not saying that they can't, it's just saying that there could be a sense of impatience of like, why are you so slow kind of mentality. And that Youngwood, that sturdy tree, known to be that pioneer, that first to be born, the first element of the cycle is here as well. Okay, so tiger and rabbit. There's this sense of flower romance star is here too. So there's this sense of relationship is important. Healing through relationship is important. As I said, this tiger of 2022, if you had tiger in your chart and it was your year of the tiger, it's a lot of emotion. It's a lot of power to hold in your own body. It's almost quoting Hmong again here, is like you're riding two tigers and trying to manage and trying to understand. It's so much coming to you. It's like if it's your year, there's your elements and your gifts and your stars gets amplified. So my take on it is that rabbit year gets to be that time of integration and that feeling of try to do less. Even if your mentality is to keep going, we don't want to see burnout happen either, because the tiger, we need that like sense of generous powerhouse energy for the outrun. And dragon and tiger is going to be, as a shit show, it's going to be a lot. So yeah, take this year to rest as well and learn the art of receiving. Okay, so rabbits. Again, if you're a rabbit, write it down. Say, yeah, I can't see the chart right now, or sorry, I can't see the text right now, but it would be really great to engage with y'all later, knowing who's who here. So rabbit, there's, again, said it so much in so many different ways. There's this clever intelligence, there's this intuition, there's this nurturer, this kind, compassionate, hearted soul, really a lover of beauty, a lover of fashion and aesthetic, this sense of vitality. This hexagram 34 is prosper. It's also vitality. The yin wood, feeling flexible, compassionate. I'm like conscious of time, so I'll keep going. The stars associated with rabbit, if you are a rabbit and your year gets to be amplified. Prosperity, academic, mysticism, general. It's going to be a prosperous year of abundance, of opportunities coming to you. Academic, it's a great year to learn a new skill, a new craft, a new trade. If you want to go back to school, that might be a great year for you. Mysticism, trust in your inner intuition. If you give yourself space to go down your rabbit hole and not have to caretake for anyone, you'd be surprised to see how much you can unearth about your path and listen to the right next step. General, being a leader, being seen as a leader, being seen as an expert. And knowing what it takes to be a leader, knowing a leader can lead with grace, can lead with vulnerability. It doesn't have to be in the center focal room. Rabbits aren't necessarily the tigers or the dragons that want to be like the center of the stage. Rabbits can lead from the behind, so like similar to pig and goat. And so understanding those themes of how do you want to take on your leadership this year. And then another thing with rabbit to say is They can be prone to anxiety, they can be prone to fear, especially if the hypervigilance, if safety is of number one concern, survival, that yin wood mentality, it's important to remember to center, to ground, to take deep breaths. Wow, I needed that. Yeah. Remember, I just get so excited. Remembering to ground, remembering your center, and it's safe to be in the spotlight. Remembering that you can attract anything you want in your life as long as you remain open, as long as you aren't afraid to let people in and help you. If you sense what a divine masculine presence is and heal those wounds, that sort of emotional wounds of abandonment and fear, and then work in harmony together, like great things can happen for you this year. So, dragon, otherwise known as the magician, here to empower and to break limiting beliefs, to take you to a different dimension. Dragon is one of the mystical animals here. You know, they can really take flight and go into a different dimension. So like transcending false limited narratives. Very purpose-driven. Speaking as a dragon for myself, I'm very restless and depressed when I don't have a purpose. And so there's a lot of like rewriting, there's a lot of transformation, there's a lot of feelings, emotions. Shadow side of dragon can be emotional manipulation. It can be like so much energy in the room and controlling that energy in the room for your favor. And it can also be very powerfully attuned to like how to work with people. At the very end of the day, dragons are pure hearts. They're the ones that'll be like, sign me up for the search and rescue team. So the yang earth principle within dragon is mountain, solid, centered, mature, reliable. That hexagram 43 is to transform. So dragon and rabbit, they have a harm relationship. Harm relationship brings about emotional immaturity and or not immaturity. My take on it is that dragon and rabbit might have their own agendas. And so it's about communicating what the inner agenda is. This could be a year to watch your communication and explore what exactly is it that you want and being straightforward with it. Anticipate unexpected turn of events. Like the rabbit is here to teach you a lesson. You don't have to be so provocative, even if it is the nature of dragon to provoke as a means to transform. The rabbit lesson is actually to just wait and see things through and let that organic nature permeate, and lesson can be learned from that. Yeah. I'm just thinking about my sister who's a rabbit, and over Thanksgiving or things taken that season, she said to me, not everyone thinks that therapy is fun. And I'm just wanting to like go into our issues. And she's like, not everyone wants to do that, you know? So yeah, slow your temper, remove the charge, find reconciliation if you really can't. Yeah, if you can't manage to have a generative, transformative justice, restorative justice conversation. If you can't manage to have a conversation with someone and see eye to eye, find a third party. restorative justice, find another agent to help you facilitate, so that you can feel seen, both parties can feel seen. Okay, so snake, the mystic. Dragon and snake live in the house of spirituality. If dragon is external transformation, then snake is the internal transformation. And this can be seen as that yin fire element, that candle that gets to be ignited as well as to be exhausted. This snake that gets to shed its skin and create skin again. And the way it does it is going out because it's fed, like someone has to light the candle. Snakes need to go out to feel warmth. They need to be around other bodies to feel warmth, but then they also go back into its own cave to like digest and let the lessons land and discern and reflect. So snakes really need a lot of time. They're like the selective attention introverts. They're like the people who know where the party is, but they're not going to blast it on Instagram. They're gonna hang out with themselves and they're the cool crowd, you know. Snakes are highly sensual, intuitive. They're very great with numbers. They're very great in inventory. They're also very like have this disappearing act. Like snake bite is fast, right? So sometimes I'm like, where do my snake friends go? Like they just like left without saying goodbye, or like you can't feel them anymore. Like what? Like can't feel them in the world anymore. They're probably in their hole digesting and just needing a lot of time. So snake and rabbit, don't be afraid to share your wisdom and knowledge. Snake is also a wise truth sayer, a truth teller. They're one of the most intuitive, but they're also very humble. They're not going to want to take the spotlight and say the thing, but they can say the thing. They're either the ones that have a judgment in their mind and they can say it, or they play the devil advocate card and like they understand what everyone's positionality is, and so they can be someone you can practice with to have a debate about almost anything. And the 7 killings god, I'm not going through all of the gods, that's a lot, but the 7 killings god is one that deals with ancestral rage and turning it into being a voice of justice. So working with that to speak your truth. It's such a shame if a snake doesn't feel safe enough to share its truth, because they have so much sight and wisdom. So yeah, and then another one, snake is incredibly sensuous, as rabbits are incredibly sensuous. This can be a great year to open the doors and embrace your sensuality and sexuality and let people in. That yin fire of not wanting to be blown out by the aggressive wind. And so like keeping boundaries, still keep your boundaries, but also how do you work through a lot of this year is how do you work through intimacy? How do you work through your intimacy issues so that we can all move towards healing, integration, collective liberation? Okay. Horse, I'm just looking at the time. I'm really grateful for Kepler College. I thought that I only had till like, I thought I only had till 2:20. It's 2:23. Grateful to keep going. All right, horse.
This is wonderful. Keep going.
Okay, great.
Thank
I
you.
was like, I don't know. I don't want to stop. Horse is the height of the masculine, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you think about that, it's like the time where things go. And horse having a clash relationship with rat, as in they're opposite of each other in the cycle. If the rat was all thinking and no doing, then the horse is all doing and no thinking. If you think about a horse in the tracks, like tunnel vision, they'll just go and go and go and go without really knowing why. Outside of wanting to see their capacity and wanting to show off and just, this endure high endurance, high capacity. There's this theme of wanting to find its freedom, but also wanting to have discipline. So it's almost like a lot of horses are really super driven towards their goals, towards their career. And really it's this illusion of freedom. Like I want to make money. I want to like support my family so that I can rest and just have the freedom of time and space. And so going between those themes as a horse, very magnetic. Yeah, horse is also a peach blossom. So it's, or rather, energetically bisexual. So there are 4 energetically bisexual animals: the rat, the snake, the horse, and the pig. So they have equal yin and yang, and I'm centering the yang fire, but as a way for you to see, like if you see a horse running, it's yang, right? But if you get a horse and you see it still, there's a tremendous amount of stillness and beauty you can see in a horse. So they're complex, they're very hard to read, and they're also very friendly and very popular, vibrant beings. So the horse and rabbit relationship, there's a destruction element here. And so it could be because the horse is one to go, go, go. As a horse, it might be really good for you to remember why you even started in the first place. Like, why are you in this career that's like 80 hours like a week? Like, why? You know, does it give you the aliveness that yang fire spirit has for you? The yang fire spirit being that blazing sun, that powerhouse of energy. So that destruction element, I go back to it, is like perpetuating themes, like doing something that you feel might be bad for you, but doing it anyway. Kind of self-sabotagey, but kind of like, yeah, like why not? Like, what if it changes? And for horse is in the same triangle of affinity as tiger. So for this 2022 tiger year, horse is going to run with that tiger and feeling that spirit of wanting to grow itself and wanting to really like master. And so if you felt this overwhelming like career driven tiger year, like working on yourself and your career, now rabbit gets to be, with that rabbit flower of romance, gets to be a time where you can focus and prioritize relationship. Maybe for those lone horses out there, start dating. It's a great year for that. Yeah, cultivate a desire-based practice. What do you really want at the end of the day? And then see yourself. I talked to my horse friend the other day, and that destruction element came into play when she asked that she wants more play and not to be constantly nurturing or caretaking the partner. And then I just said, and to avoid that destruction, why don't you have like a yellow card or a red card in your mind? Like, oh, here I am wanting to caretake, wanting to cook and spend my time cooking for this person, instead of like focusing on my own rest. Like, notice that, and then give it voice. Be like, I actually came into this relationship because I wanted more play. What is it that you really want, and how do you ask for it? And orient your life around that as a practice. And then ultimately leaning on friendships and community. Flower of Romance is one of those stars where you get to learn from your primary partner or from those around you that you hold tight and strong. So this sense of like also honoring platonic intimacy and getting a lot that you might not get from your primary relationship is also something that can be gleaned here. Okay, sheep or goat. I use both synonymously. Sheep is number 8 of the cycle. We're nearly there. Sheep is one to feel like number 8 for Chinese culture is tied towards abundance and prosperity. And I love sheep in this position because it's also known as the Good Samaritan of the 12 animals. It's compassionate, it's people, it's oriented towards driving change within the community, not necessarily taking the spotlight, but driving change in culture internally. It's not a leader. I don't want to say it's a follower. It's just some archetype of wanting to find belonging and that cycle of finding the right community structures, finding the right friendships for it to feel that way. Shadow side could be prone to being subject to people pleasing or feeling like, oh man, what do other people think of me right now? I don't know, like perceiving what other people think outside of feeling like, well, what do I think? How do I lead with that? So watching out for that and that yin earth, that soil, that growth, that nurturing, that giving. How can sheep learn how to receive this year? See, I use sheep and goat together. Yeah, there's a star of arts associated with the goat, as it's also associated with dragon and dog and ox. This would be a great year, 2023, to believe in yourself. For any doubt will numb that gentle spirit. You don't want to see a sheep or a goat be a cynic, a loner. It's not good. Everyone can feel it. That sense of like empowering yourself through shame and getting the need, asking for attention. They're not going to be the first to admit it, but goats and dragons actually are attention seeking. And it's okay to say, it's okay to name it to your primary partner. I'm like, I'm feeling really needy right now. Can you give me some time and attention? And then at the same time, keep working on your boundaries and watch out for codependency. There's a way that sheeps can cling on to structures and like to maybe like to give and not to give to itself, but to even escape itself. That escape, not to watch to be a sacrificial sheep or lamb, so to say. Not to be driven into cult-like thinking. So like watching for your own primary power at the end of the day. Yeah. And with the Star of Arts, this is a really great time to start or finish your creative projects. Create a art practice for yourself. Yeah. Triangle of affinity. So this could be associated with the trine. So rabbits, goats, and pigs form a triangle, which makes for really great compatibility. So for goats and for pigs, this is a very harmonious year. If romance and love and belonging is important to you, as well as the search for spiritual truth and enlightenment and belonging, yeah, then it would be really great for you to enjoy the present, let the past go, get into that space of knowing your heart and communicating your needs. Yeah, and keep that compassion alive, because that's what like actually drives movement. Okay, so monkey being the revolutionary, monkey as the Olympian, the Renaissance person. It's like monkey mind needs to be constantly stimulated intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, physically. They're the great multitaskers, and they're also the great original thinkers, right? As well as like synthesizing so much information at the same time that they can create something from nothing. And they're not one to go the same direction, as if you can think about monkeys going from one part of the jungle to another. They love fun, they love play. They're gonna take whatever time they get to take to reach a destination. Doesn't matter, because it's all about the thrill of learning itself. So monkey being associated with young metal being like the axe, the sword, wanting a challenge, wanting a challenge so bad, like if things get too boring or too flowy, like they'll actually create a challenge for itself in order to grow. So wanting pressure, needing pressure in order to like feel stimulated is a big concept with monkey. How is that going to play with rabbit year? Yeah. Yeah, so there's herding officer direct wealth relationship. The yang metal with the yin, the yang metal with the yin. So water gets to be the output for the metal. So herding officer is actually God. That means your gifts, your output, your talents will be felt and expressed through the world. And so like rabbit year could be a great time if you were working on something in the tiger year, which this year, 2022, might have been a trying time as tiger and monkey have a clash relationship. Chances are you grew stronger and wiser, more resilient and adaptable with all of the stuff that tiger had you confront. Rabbit being in this relationship of herding officer and direct wealth also proves to be a good time for you to share your gifts or reap what you have sowed. And also there's this relationship with monkey called the robbing star. This isn't like news to the monkey. Prepare for the high highs and the low lows. Yeah, life is a game. Continue to play with it. This is also a thing of like monkey being so driven to challenge and driven to growth, driven to creation, that it's not a spirit that I feel anyway. Understanding that rabbit medicine of nurturing relationship and conflict resolution. So remember to give credit where credit is due and acknowledge those who've supported you in your path, because you have extreme talent and gifts to share to the world, extreme creations, whether it was an art project you were working on this past year. This is a great time to let the world see it and have that impact be felt. Okay, rooster. Rooster is the master of ceremonies. Ours is 5 to 7 p.m. That's like happy hour time. It's like when everyone comes back to the village and everyone's drinking a beer, and rooster being one to cacaw and one to speak, wanting to flaunt its feathers. I always say this, but like Beyonce is a rooster. Like there is this like magnetism about roosters, and roosters are very driven. It's that meticulous precision, that perfectionist nature of knowing when something is off, the way they peck, they know. Yeah, roosters make great copy editors too. It's because they have this way of articulating, speaking, writing, orating. Like you can, if this was the greater revolution that we're currently in, roosters are the ones that would be a great voice. They would give great voice. People want to hear the rooster and what they have to say. They're the ones with the mic at the end of the day. And so rooster and rabbit have a clash relationship. Rooster is opposite of the rabbit in the wheel. So this gets to be a year where you can expect twists and turns. And what I want to say about clashes, it's like you're looking at someone directly in the eye, and it gets to be, instead of saying like, it gets to be like confronting, it gets to be a place where you can look at your triggers and look at and be forced to recognize like maybe like different ways of being. It's a great humbling year to learn your lessons. So that expecting twists and turns can come from a place of like, if you had one way of going about something, like learning another way. And approach conflict with humility. You can make anything a learning lesson from a clash relationship. What can you learn this year to better improve your craft in a way that might feel uncomfortable, but it's a lesson in itself? And then, yeah, celebrate your achievements, throw a party. Roosters have so many achievements that they just poo-poo and just go on with the next one. Like, I think everyone deserves a party. All right, dog. Dogs are loyal. They're known to have that discerning eye, that hour from 7 to 9 p.m. Imagine your dog sitting outside and making sure that there are no intruders that come in. And when I say discerning, they can like sniff out from their perspective, good from bad, like from their perspective, like, oh, like this is evil energy. I don't want anything to do with it. Or like if you're a dog and you're like, I don't like that person, like you like first impressions really make an impact kind of way. And then like shadow side is that it could be very one way, it could be very dogmatic way of viewing the world, you know, like sometimes, and that's for me as a dragon, and I have a clash relationship with a dog, it takes me multiple impressions to make, you know, to really settle with the totality of dragons. So I always say like dogs just need time as well to understand, to make a judgment and not be plagued with not having as many friends as they could. And to understand forgiveness, you know, let go of past grievances and learn forgiveness. Dog and rabbits are secret friends. So this also gets to be a harmonious year in that sense. And then to learn from that rabbit way of conflict resolution, particularly in the first 3 months. Dogs can benefit from learning that. So adapt to changes in environment as well, drop the judgments, learn from your triggers. Otherwise, dogs, yeah, this is a good year for you because the dog and rabbits tend to get along. Okay, so pig is the last of the cycle. We're nearly there. 9 to 11. So this is being the last of the cycle. In the great race, the pig came last. It didn't care about the race. It doesn't go and isn't motivated by ego or status or approval. It's going to take its time. It's going to lounge and eat its grass, or whatever pig eats, and just enjoy the present moment. Pigs are here to teach us how to be with the present moment. They're very loyal. They're very like, if you are in my inner circle, I will be faithful, be loyal. I will take care of you. Yeah, they're very like pig, rabbit, and goat. That triangle in itself is the triangle of compassion and promoting social harmony in the world. So it's that triangle that says, yeah, that we don't have to like be motivated by the spirit of like achievement for power. It's more like, how do we go into our environment, our sites of learning, our habitat, and have a better relationship with it. So relationship with land, relationship with people, relationship with our bodies. And this is another lesson, is like, I feel like pigs can get taken advantage of a lot for their generous, warm-hearted, egoless spirits. So don't waste your effort on those who don't appreciate it. Yeah, and it's a year for the general star that comes out of like wanting to be, or being perceived as a leader and being in the spotlight. So that might not be a natural thing for pig. Even though I take that back. Pigs are masterful teachers by living as an example, being in practice of their values and relationships. So maybe it is a year for you to be seen in more of the external world for your knowledge and your expertise, and to teach others. Like if anyone had to teach along with the rabbit of how to be in wu-wei, effortless non-action, it's the pig. Teach others how to be present in the moment and remember what matters at the end of the day: family, good health, relationship. Okay, oh my God. So this is how you can get in touch with me through email if anything struck you. If you had any questions, I welcome that. My Instagram is tiffrexray, my website, tiffanylin.co. And you can find my readings on bots as astrology. I feel like I feel like there should have been another slide that says that is the 12 animals and their impact in a nutshell. There's a lot more we can go into, but for the sake of time, if you had any questions, here is that. This is the longest I've spoken about this topic. And yeah, I'm ready for the Q&A. I'm gonna.
Well, thank you, Tiff, for such a wonderful, insightful presentation. Absolutely fantastic. So thank you.
Thanks. Awesome.
So on point, so on point. Do we have any questions? Let's see, let's have a look in the Q&A. Let's see, I think this was a while back. This year asked me to step up, be brave, be humble, make big moves, and I am tired, lol. I think that's referring to the tiger year. So will rabbit year be softer?
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm just taking a moment.
Okay.
Rabbit year will be softer. Yes. Yeah. That sense of going from young, of that aggressive, like kind of like burnout culture, to the yin, welcoming and having the collective welcome softness too, being like, we did a lot, y'all. Like, let's all take a rest and a collective breath. So understanding how you can be soft with yourself can help change the general culture. And yeah, it has to start from inside to generate change from the greater movement. So yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Some more questions coming in here. How does the new animal/element of the year interact with one's day, month, and hour pillars?
Okay, great. I can read it. I'm a visual reader. I can't. Okay. Does the new animal element of the year interact with one's day? That's a good question. So I'm going to reinterpret that to say, if you have the Yin Water Rabbit being that annual luck cycle, come and influence the different animals you have in your pillar. There are certain gods, there are certain stars, there are certain relationships that will be influenced, but it doesn't come as strongly as your internal pillar animal relationships. Those take precedence overall. But what I've said in the last 24 slides of talking about the animals are like kind of hints and clues for what you might anticipate and what you might expect. So if you have, let's say, if you have goat or pig in your chart, wherever that is in your 4 pillars, then you would say that in some aspects you'll be able to have a harmonious relationship this coming year. And that's whatever the gods and stars that are present within that pillar gets to be expressed even more. Yeah, that answers your question.
Wonderful. Would you like me to read them out, or do you see them on your?
Well, I see them, but why don't you?
Let's see, what else have we got here? How can we apply each 2023 animal trend to their months of the year?
How could we apply each 2023 animal trend to their months of the year? Are you saying how can we apply trying to understand the under question behind that.
Does that go a little bit deeper when you're getting into the months of a particular person you're speaking
Oh,
to?
right, exactly. Okay, so let's say it was rabbit month and rabbit year, and you have rabbit in your chart. All of that gets even more amplified. Depending on what animals you have in your 4 pillars, you know, your 4 earthly branches, if you look at what those months are for you in a calendar year, the stars and those gods that are influenced by that year will be seen even more. So it's that month that those come alive for you, even more so than it would throughout the year. So those are the themes that you can see. Mhm.
Wonderful. I think they came back in. Should we focus on these traits during that month? Yeah, I think you've answered that. Wonderful. Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we've got here. Got a new job, more suitable for me in the tiger year. What about love for dogs in a rabbit year? That's very specific.
Yeah, I love that because I mean, dogs and rabbit are secret friends. I feel like that's a good time for relationship. Actually, in fact, tiger, horse, dog have a flower of romance in their chart, which makes a good time to start dating and to be in relationship. So
A good time for that.
Love.
Great question. Everyone wants to know about love.
That's great.
Another one here. Do the 12 Chinese zodiac signs correspond to the Western astrology signs? The description of the rooster sounded a lot like Virgo.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like Rooster and Virgo are probably the most spot on example I can find. I'm a dragon and I don't necessarily identify with Aquarius, but I guess in some ways, they're not always fully spot on, I would say, and I would want to go more by the elements, right? The animals have a better relationship with the elements versus comparing them to the Western astrology sense. Yeah, you can make meaning and interpretation for anything though, so.
Wonderful. Do the themes of the animals correlate to the themes of their month of the year? I think you've
Yeah, I think that was a way to.
address that one. Let's see here. Half my screen is missing. Can you see more on your end?
I do see it. In one of the slides in the presentation, it was typed as 1983. It was not the year of the pig, but I think it is the year of the water pig. Maybe it was a typo. Yeah, it could be a typo, but that is very easy to Google what the years of pigs are. So let me just check here for you.
59. What's the rest of them? Keep adding 12, I think.
Yeah, keep adding 12, starting from 59 to 12 is 1. Yeah, so yeah, it might be 12. I remember 81. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Quick maths.
Yeah, you can definitely Google to see and apologize if there was typos. Thank you for letting me know.
Another one here, link to the best website to use to find my pillars in Chinese.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any recommendations in terms of websites?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like to use Janet Young's because she has a list of the stars as well. So I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. You can calculate your bots calculator. Yeah, you can calculate your bots on there. And hopefully go back to the recording and understand more about your animals and elements.
Wonderful. And just to reiterate for the people still here, we'll have this recording out tomorrow afternoon Eastern time, so you'll be able to rewatch the recording if you missed any specifics. Another question here. I am a metal monkey. I had some challenges this past year, which you nailed. Awesome. Are the rabbit and monkey friends, and will there be more flow this year?
I wouldn't say not all of the animals have a relationship with rabbit. They're not necessarily friends, but they're not enemies either. It's actually pretty good to have that. I guess, I remember seeing a direct wealth and a herding officer, and those gods are represented by herding officer having output. So a lot of creative output, a lot of expression for you. Direct wealth, this could be a great year for financial abundance and prosperity. So there will be flow in that sense. But as I said, watch the monkey mind and and remember the spirit of rabbit asking you to slow down, and the monkey mind isn't used to that. So have your community, have your friends remind you. Yeah.
I have to say, I love my tiger friends, but this has been a very relentless year. So I'm looking forward to my own rabbit year, where hopefully a bit more tact and diplomacy, maybe some peace deals around the world. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Any more questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, great. No more questions. That's great.
I think I've got a bit of a glitch going on.
Okay.
For monkeys. Okay, perfect. Well, I think we'll end it there. So again, thank you everyone for attending today. Again, you can see the recording tomorrow afternoon Eastern time. So again, thank you, Tiff. What a wonderful, fantastic presentation, and so great even for your first huge webinar. This has been absolutely wonderful. Many comments in here saying thank you so much. Very informative. So we want to thank you for coming to Kepler.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I was just scrolling through the chat. It'd be great to have a copy of it so I can understand how everyone's been.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll send you the full copy. Absolutely. And for everyone else watching, we'll put it on our, YouTube channel. I see all the hearts floating around. So thank you all so much.
Everyone for coming and attending, and yeah, for going at the natural pace of time.
Wonderful. All around the world. If you're in Australia, it's probably early morning, or wherever you are in the world. We love our international community.
Yeah, great.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening or morning, wherever you may be.